I want to propose something to you tonight. Not a new technique, not a more powerful visualization, not a longer sat session. 7 days. 7 days of a single concentrated discipline that most practitioners have heard of, but almost none have truly applied. I called it the mental diet, and I want to be clear about what it is, because it has been misunderstood almost as often as it has been attempted. It is not the suppression of negative thoughts. It is not the forced repetition of positive ones. It is not the exhausting vigilance of a person monitoring every passing impression and correcting each one before it lands. All of that is effort. And effort, as I have said many times, is the signature of lack. The mental diet is something simpler and something far more total. It is the decision to live for 7 consecutive days from a single chosen identity, not in your practice, not before sleep, in every ordinary hour. Stay with me, because 7 days of this, genuinely applied, will show you more about how this law works than years of nightly practice alone. Most people who practice this teaching focus on the techniques, satis, revision, living in the end, and these are valuable. But I have always said, and I want to say it again with precision tonight, the techniques are not the foundation. The mental diet is the foundation. It is the operating system beneath all the other practices. Without it, you are a builder who lays foundation stones at night and allows them to be scattered by morning. The mental diet closes that gap. It brings the inner economy of your practice into the ordinary hours of your day, not dramatically, not with effort, with the quiet, consistent discipline of someone who has made a decision and is simply honoring it. Here is what the mental diet asks of you. For 7 days, every time an inner statement arises that contradicts the identity you have chosen, you do not fight it. You do not argue with it. You do not suppress it or shame yourself for having it. You simply redirect, gently, naturally, as many times as necessary. You return to the inner speech of the person you have decided to be, not with intensity, with the calm, unhurried correction of someone who simply knows who they are. That is the discipline, repeated through the kitchen, through the commute, through the ordinary conversations and ordinary frustrations of 7 consecutive days. And at the end of those 7 days, the assumption you have been returning to will have begun to feel natural, not performed, not practiced, natural. And naturalness is the only signal the subconscious requires. I want to explain something about why 7 days matters, not 6, not 10, 7. The number is not arbitrary. 7 days is approximately the time required for a new inner pattern to begin displacing an old one, not to replace it entirely, but to establish enough of a presence that the subconscious begins to take it seriously as the dominant impression. In the first 2 days, the old patterns resist. They are habitual. They are deep. They feel more like the truth than the new assumption does. This is normal. Do not mistake the resistance for failure. It is simply the old identity defending its territory. By the 3rd and 4th day, the resistance begins to soften, not because you have won an argument with it, because you have simply returned to the new assumption enough times that it has begun to feel familiar. By the 5th and 6th day, something shifts. The new inner speech begins to arise naturally, not as a correction of the old, but as the first response. And by the 7th day, you will notice something that no technique alone has ever produced. The desire will feel different, not more intense, less urgent, less heavy with wanting. And that reduction in intensity is not disappointment. It is the first sign that the subconscious has begun to accept the new assumption as true, because what is already true does not feel urgent. It simply feels like the way things are. I want to give you the precise structure for these 7 days, not rules to follow rigidly, a framework to return to when the ordinary day pulls you back to the old identity, the morning anchor. When you wake, before any other thought takes hold, spend 60 seconds in the identity of the person for whom it is already done. Not a scene, not a practice, simply being that person for 60 seconds before the day begins. This sets the inner weather for the hours that follow, the ordinary hours. Throughout the day, when you notice the old inner speech arising, and the complaint, the doubt, the habitual reaction, do not fight it. Simply notice it and return. One gentle redirection. That is all that is required. The evening review. Before sleep, spend 5 minutes in quiet review, not of what went wrong, of the moments, however brief, when you inhabited the new identity naturally. Find them, acknowledge them, and fall asleep from the last one. This three-part structure, morning anchor, ordinary redirection, evening review, is the mental diet in practice. Not elaborate, not demanding, simply consistent, for 7 days. And the consistency is everything. I want to leave you with one thing. The mental diet does not begin on Monday. It does not begin when circumstances are more favorable. It does not begin when you feel ready. It begins tonight, with the next inner statement you make about yourself. That statement, the next one, the one arising now as you consider this, is the beginning. If it is the inner speech of the person for whom it is already done, the diet has begun. If it is not, redirect gently, without drama, without self-judgment, simply return. And tomorrow morning, when you wake, before the day makes its first claim on your attention, spend 60 seconds as the person you have decided to be, not performing it, being it, and carry that identity, however imperfectly, however many redirections it requires, through 7 ordinary days. At the end of those 7 days, you will not need me to tell you whether it worked. You will feel the difference in the quality of your own inner silence, the absence of urgency, the quieting of want, the subtle, unmistakable ease of someone for whom the matter is already settled. That ease is the subconscious speaking. It is telling you that it has received the new assumption, that it has accepted it as truth, and that it is already building the world that matches it. Begin tonight.